Do you ever listen to the radio?
Yes.
How often?
Basically when I'm only in my car, and I'd say even then, very rarely, even when I'm in the car. So, you want me to give you like hours a week?
Sure. However
Maybe
frequently,
an
maybe?
hour a week.
An hour a week. Do you listen to the radio?
I do listen to the radio.
When do you listen to the radio?
When I'm in the car.
Do you listen to it ever outside of the car?
No.
It depends. I listen to the internet radio a lot when I'm doing art projects, or whenever I'm around a computer. Pandora, or there's another site I can't remember.
I listen to NPR sometimes when I'm going to and from work.
Yes.
How often?
Probably a couple times a week.
When do you listen to the radio?
In my car when I'm driving.
Do you ever listen to it outside of in the car?
No.
Are you familiar with podcasts?
I love podcasts.
How often do you listen to podcasts?
Ideally, I listen to it every day, especially instead of the radio. And I was doing that when I had more time on my hands. But now I probably listen to it for maybe an hour a day if I go to the gym.
Which podcasts?
I listen to BBC Mundo, This American Life, Stuff You Should Know, Stuff You Missed in History Class, The Moth, Radio Lab, which is my favorite, sometimes The Economist, and I used to listen to PRI short stories, but I haven't in a while.
Yeah, I listen to This American Life podcast somewhat regularly. I used to listen to a couple others, but I just haven't really done it.
Do you consider listening to radio and listening to podcasts the same kind of activity, or do you choose to do them in different circumstances?
I'd say I do them in different circumstances. I don't really consider podcasts the same as radio. I'd say I listen to podcasts when I'm just at home.
What makes you choose to listen to a podcast?
I'd probably say to get some slice of information is usually my goal.
Well, I guess more control, you know. Depending on what type of art project I was doing, I might listen to a different program. So if I had the iPod, I could select whatever I wanted to listen to.
A podcast is more, it's more exactly what I want when I want it, which is a nice thing to have. Whereas, just listening to the radio, whether it be music or NPR News, is, more of a kind of exploration, it's more of an adventure.
A more deliberate choice, and it was definitely choosing programs that were interesting to me on topics that are interesting, whereas radio is just sort of when I don't have CDs in my car.
This American Life is originally broadcasted on NPR. Do you ever listen to it on the radio?
Never.
Did you ever listen to it on the radio before you started listening on podcasts?
No.
And have you ever listened to it in its live broadcast since?
Nope.
And the listening experience, whether it's in a podcast or on the actual radio, is kind of, it's a different experience. When I listen to it on the radio, it comes on at 6 p.m. on Sundays, and it was kind of an event, and we would arrange our schedule around it, and it'd be more of a kind of a collective experience. Whereas listening to it on a podcast, it's definitely more of an individual experience. The idea of the event is gone, and I stop it and start it and listen to it in chunks, as opposed to listening to the multiple stories all the way through for an hour. And when I do it for that hour, it's not just what I'm doing, but what we're doing together. And then after that, maybe we'll talk about it for a little bit, or whatever.
I think the level of intelligence in the podcast is more conducive to enlightenment, or it's more engaging as well. Plus you have more control over the type of information you're getting. The radio, a lot of it's kind of crap.
It definitely feels more impersonal. It's less of like my choice and more of just definitely a sound filler while I'm in the car.